time will eliminate. Have you ever noticed that? Time will eliminate things that are toxic in your life. Time helps you eliminate things that you've outgrown. I'll read this to you in the Bible. Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 13, he said, when I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child. But when I grew up, I put away childish things. Now, everybody, are you with me? You know there's a difference between childlike and childish. Jesus says we ought to be childlike in our faith. Like a child, we're trusting. But we're not to be childish in our behavior. Have you ever noticed little kids? You put little bitty kids in a playground together and let them play. It won't be long. So one of them will come over to you and they're crying. He hit me. He did this to me. He called me a name. You can even put them in the back seat of your cart and go for a ride, and one of them will start crying. And you say, what did they do? And they'll come out with this brilliant statement. He looked at me. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Well, here's the thing about children. They can get out there playing, they get mad, they get frustrated, but look, they don't carry that around 3 or 4 hours. They don't carry it around 3 or 4 weeks, 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 years. Where some of us grown adults will say, they said this to me 3 years ago. They did that to me 3 months ago. And we get childish. Time has a way of eliminating childish behavior. Here's my next point. Get this. Now, this is real important. Get it. It's not what you're going through, guys, that really matters. It's what you are becoming in the process. You get that? We think it's all about what's happening to me. No. What is what's happening to you doing to you? Okay? We've got to understand the spiritual principle. Write it down. God is not nearly as concerned about your comfort level as he is about your development. God isn't as concerned about your happiness as he is your holiness. Don't let the things in your life that frustrate you cause you to mess up and quit trusting God. God wants to use the waiting room to develop you and to build more trust in your life. Now, here's the last principle that I want to give you, and I want you to get this. You ready? Okay. All change begins with a decision. Did you read what that verse we're going to be memorizing this week says? All things work together, not for everybody. I can't preach this and say, okay, everybody listening online, everybody in the world, listen, it'll all work together for good. No. It says, all those who put their trust and faith in Jesus, God works all things together for good. That is a promise to believers who place their faith in Jesus. It all begins with that decision we make in our life to decide to give our lives to Jesus. Y'all ready for a little Latin lesson? It's going to be little because I know about 5 words. The word decide comes from the Latin word discerner. It literally means to cut off. Here's what that means. When I make a decision to do this, then it means I cut off all the other decisions. When I make a decision that I'm going to get that means I'm not going to get that. When I make a decision for this career, it means I'm not going to do those other careers. We've got to decide that we're going to follow Jesus. And get this, now hang on, y'all, just get ready, okay? Did you know you're as happy as you decide to be? You are as happy as you choose to be. You said, Jack, you don't know. You don't understand. You don't know what's happened to me. You don't understand how bad I want this. You don't understand how much this has hurt. Yes, I do. But look, now listen, I'm going to smile when I say this. Everybody look, see, I'm smiling, okay? Your bad attitude is nobody's business but yours. Something may have happened to you, but you're going to choose your attitude about it. Okay. Am I thrilled that my mother and father died recently? Am I excited and thrilled that my son died almost a year ago? Absolutely not. But you know what? I have a decision how I'm going to live the rest of my life. I can decide to mope and groan, or I can decide that I can't blame my life on anybody else. I'm going to choose to be happy. I have the power to change my attitude. And you know, when things happen to us, good or bad, we get to decide how we're going to react. I read this story the other day. Oh, this is another one. I ran into Bob's office and told him about it. I was reading this story this week about a grandpa that was playing with his little granddaughter. And they were sitting in the floor, and she was coloring with a color. She was so happy. She was drawing pictures with her color. And then all of a sudden, the crayon broke in half. And she started crying, and she looked up at her grandpa with them big old tears in her eyes, and she said, "Well, Grandpa, my crayon broke." And the grandfather was a godly Christian man. And under his breath, he prayed, "Lord, let me use this as an opportunity to teach my granddaughter something about Jesus." He said, "No more had I prayed that than this came out of my mouth." I looked at her and I said, "Sweetheart, broken crayons still color." And you know, that's true. You can take a half of that crayon and you can still draw a beautiful picture. And there's some of you in this room this morning, you feel broken. You look at all the mistakes you've made in your life. You've looked at how you shoulda, coulda, and woulda done something different. And you feel like, I've broken it. I'm broken. And God wants to look at you and say, I can still make a beautiful picture out of a broken crayon. I told that story in the first service today, and I was coming down the steps, and one of our young ladies came over and grabbed me and said, "You missed something." I said, What? She said, "I was thinking about that story. That was so good about broken crayons, still color." She said, "But then I thought, now that crayon is broken, now the little girl has a crayon, and her grandfather has a crayon too. And now they can paint pictures together." Oh man, won't you come to my office next week and help me with my sermon? That is so good. You know what, guys? You know what God does with broken dreams? You know what God does with broken hopes and desires? God says, I can still paint a beautiful picture with your life. And together, we can go through life painting pictures together. This is what I can do in you and through you, because broken crayons still color.